That's Amy Rigby from her new album, Hang In There With Me. And no, she's not on a farewell tour, although you can catch her playing U.S. dates throughout October. We caught up with Amy to talk about making the new record with her husband, Wreckless Eric, and why her output seems to have slowed down a bit over the past few years.
When I first started making records, I felt like I was on a really good, like every 2 years kind of cycle.
Right.
But I guess, yeah, maybe I don't want to say that's slowed down, but just the cycle maybe isn't, the whole thing of like, I'm always writing songs, but the whole process of actually like getting a release out and trying to book a tour and all of those things, which I don't even know if any of it matters anymore. But
well, see, that's a problem, yeah, and that's universal.
But it still matters to me. So
yeah, yep. Well, that's what keeps you going, I guess. And it looks like, judging from the first two songs on the record, "Hello 60" and "Too Old to Be So Crazy," that you have aging on your mind as well. I know because I read the Wikipedia that you're in your mid-60s. So
yeah.
So yeah, I'm even ahead of you. I'm further along than that. So
okay.
So what have you come up? Have you come to any conclusions as far as what it's like, what it means to be older?
I should be kicking back instead of gearing up to take another crack. I'm too old to be so crazy.
I tend to just write about whatever's going on in my life. So, although I there's nothing wrong with trying to, write a song cycle about, the 1920s or, like maybe I'll do that next. But I guess since that has been sort of not weighing on me, but that just been confronting all the issues of getting older. I think overall, I felt a positivity about just still being able to do, work on stuff and communicate with people and get to make music. And so I think, the challenging aspects, but overall, I'm happy to be doing this and being able to, play guitar.
Yep.
And
well, it seems like if your health holds up, it's more of, just a matter of your attitude and of course making music, I think, probably keeps you younger anyway.
It's true. I think it does. I think, well, Tom Petty called, that feeling when you're rocking out on stage, he's called it stage age.
Right.
Where you're timeless, you're just like you're every age you've ever been. And, I guess the only hard thing is like if you wrote the set list really like small in a dressing room and then you realize like, oh, fuck, I can't see this,
My eyesight's getting better as I'm getting older.
That's I heard that like long distance actually does improve. And my husband just had cataract surgery and he said that really helped quite a bit.
Yep.
So
No, it's very strange.
Yeah,
Just
so
seeing what happens next.
some things can improve.
Yeah. Now, speaking of old folks, I see you name checked Mr. Dylan in one of your songs, Dylan in Dubuque, and I'm obsessed with Bob, as most people are. And I did check to see if he ever played there. It looks like he did back in '96. So, what inspired you to write this song?
And sometimes I play the martyr, but I mostly play myself. And I welcome all you ravers. Every straight guy needs a kook. I'm Bob Dylan in Dubuque. I'm Bob Dylan in Dubuque.
Because it's kind of a famous concert. Because there was no, I think it was at the University of Iowa or something. There was no security. Like, I don't know, they just forgot or something. And so there was a total ongoing stage invasion. Like the whole show, the audience was on stage, just coming and going, jumping, dancing, hugging him, high-fiving each
I must
other.
have loved that.
And he just stayed like super focused.
Yep.
The band, they sounded great. They were just rocking. And so anyway, that thanks to YouTube, that show's now like available to watch. And
Of course.
and so I guess I name check him a lot. My last album, The Old Guys, had a song called From Philip Roth at Gmail to rzimmerman at
That's right. Yep.
AOL.com.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, he's often on, if you're a fan, he's often on your mind. And so I don't know, I took that whole, him in the eye of the storm like that, kind of like as a inspiration.
Right.
I wasn't like trying to write like a historical
No, I didn't. Yeah.
depiction of what happened, but just kind of pictured myself in that,
Yeah.
just wanting to be that cool.
Yep. Yep. And even as we're talking about it, I think somebody just mentioned that very incident to me in a bar down the street about a week ago.
Oh, really?
And I'm going, wait a minute, why does this sound familiar? So how bizarre. So,
That's funny.
that is
Well, it's one of those kind of, like the Our Lady of Lourdes, it's like a miracle sighting, like
right.
some
Yep.
miracle thing that people and you're like, did it really happen? And
Yes. Yes. How many degrees of separation from Bob? Have you ever met him?
I have never met him. I've had an email or two from his manager, who's
Excellent.
like friends with a lot of people I
Yeah.
know. And I think when I put out the Philip Roth song, he was like,
Yeah.
he gave me a thumbs up. I
Great.
I don't know if
Oh,
Bob ever heard this or
Sure.
but
I was
no,
curious because you do name check a lot of people in your songs. Has there ever been a negative reaction to any of that, or have you gotten
what
any
like
kind
don't talk about me in
yeah,
your
like why are you mentioning me in my song, in your song?
It's a good
or
question.
or extreme positive maybe, and you
Like
can't get rid of that.
stop stalking me. I don't think I've ever. I did get an email from the Dubuque Daily Paper when when the single came out, saying like, we'd love to talk to you about this is and setting up a time to talk. And typical for me, like timing is never my strong suit. They had like a tornado that week,
There you go.
and I never heard from them again. It's like sometimes, I'm supposed to be on this big show with this, super like popular person, and then, the baby that they've been waiting to adopt, like suddenly it's happening, and then I never hear from them. That literally happened, like right around the time before the pandemic. And those things are just kind of like, I just have to laugh, like
So I'm trying to think what else could be happening in Dubuque, Iowa.
what's that?
I said, what else could be happening in Dubuque?
I know it's always a slow news week, but that one time.
Very good. Now, speaking of name checking, you have a song called Bangs, which at first I was wondering if I know there's a song called Bangs by They Might Be Giants. Are you familiar with that? It's,
I think I'm not, and I mean, I know those guys. They were my
I thought you
neighbors,
did.
like back in Williamsburg in Brooklyn
Yeah.
many years ago. And I actually just did a Q&A for a They Might Be Giants podcast.
Right.
And the guy mentioned that their song called Bangs, which I mean, they have so many songs that are, like so ranging topics,
Yes.
every kind of topic, but I didn't know that one. So
Yeah. Well, the only reason I know it is because on their album, I think it's on their Mink Car album, it came out, and the song before it is called Older, which our family has decided we've replaced that song with Happy Birthday. Every time somebody has a birthday, we play it. You're older than you've ever been, and now you're even
right.
older.
Oh, that's so nice.
And so the CD ends up playing on when everybody's done, and that's the next song.
Oh, okay.
Bangs. So
I'll have
anyway,
to. as soon as I wrote the song, I actually did Google. I don't know. It's better to know these things, but not, you can't, I didn't Google before I wrote the song. I wrote the
Yep,
song, then
yep,
I just checked, like, I wonder if anybody else sang this sort of, and
right,
all I found, and maybe I just didn't look any further, was a young kind of rapper, kind of like folky rapper guy
right,
saying like, I got bangs, motherfucker, I got bangs. I got motherfucking bangs, because
right.
he's like, he broke up, his girlfriend broke up with him, and now he's like changed his hairstyle, and he's hoping that she'll like him now. And it was really, it was a good track. I liked
Sounds
it, but that was as far as I got.
sounds like a banger. Yeah. And so then I immediately thinking, well, you mentioned Julie Christie and Nico and Marianne Faithfull, all great bangs. I was thinking of Sonny and Cher both had great bangs.
That's true. That's true.
Don't call it fringe, that's way too tasteful. I want a channel, Mary and Faithful tonight. Girl on a motorbike, in my bangs. I need bangs.
Cher transcended the bangs, though. She, because the bridge says, once you go bangs, you can never go back. But
That's right,
she
because she's
actually
straight parted
then
down the middle. Yep, yep.
and chained, and she never went. I don't think she ever. Well, she did actually have that kind of almost like Cleopatra-ish wig later, but it was just a wig, so she could just like swap at will.
Yep. So how did you put this record together? How was it you and your husband putting it together, or did you have other people working? And
It was really
the
just
mechanics of it.
it was really just me and him, and we worked with two different drummers,
Right,
kind of sporadically, but had either Doug Weigel or our neighbor Sam Shepard came and would do a track or two with the drums. But for the most part, we just kind of, once we did those things, we'd kind of labor, just Eric and me
right.
doing, he'd play bass, we both play guitar.
There's a great
And
bass line on Bricks.
Dig it. These bricks won't weigh themselves. These bricks won't weigh themselves.
on Bricks, yeah, that is a great, yeah, no, Eric's a great bass player. And then, yeah, do keyboard stuff. Some of the vocals were the kind of scratch vocals,
Right.
and and then some were more like worked on, and so that's, yeah, that we've made a bunch of records together, like the records we did as a duo,
Yeah.
and then like my last solo album and this one. So we kind of have a way of working. It's not fast. It takes a while.
Yeah, you got time. Did you feel when COVID hit that you were kind of, I've talked to a lot of people who kind of appreciated that it gave them time to have to do all the stuff that they never had before.
It definitely, I've done like 2 podcasts. I did my book that came out in 2019. I hadn't had a chance to make an audio book. So I used the first year of COVID to do a podcast where each chapter was an episode. And so that was 20 weeks. That killed 20 weeks. That like helped me fill, like every week I did another one. And I was learning to I was learning to do the editing and all that, and just learning to put it together. And I really enjoyed that, and started another podcast. And yeah, it's true. I did, and then I started trying to do maybe like some music in each I started a podcast of my blog, but the record was kind of, I would say it shaped up the same way my previous one, the Old Guys, did. Just kind of recorded 3 songs here, 2 songs there, and then over time, did overdubs on them. And eventually we were getting ready to move from New York to England. And so it was kind of imperative that we get it all mixed.
Right.
And just all kind of finish up all the tracks, get it all in an order, get it mastered, make sure it was okay before we dismantled the whole studio and our whole house and lives.
So you've moved permanently back to England?
Yeah.
That's a big move.
Yeah.
Is it because of the election?
It really, it was really kind of, it's been in the works for a little while. And I think, we've spent a lot of time in England anyway. Right. Eric has grandchildren here, and he just turned 70. I don't know. It seems it's not as hot here.
Right.
And it's not as cold here. So I don't know, living in upstate.
In New Zealand.
Never
snows, it's just kind of.
It's a lot, weather's just not as, people talk about the weather. That's sure. Always the main topic of conversation, but it's not as much of a I wish I could clean out my car, but it's 98 degrees out, so it's too hot. Or it's ice and snow. I can't,
Yep.
We can't put this stuff in the car because it's too icy and we're going to kill ourselves. So anyway, it does just seem kind of like a more moderate kind of environment, and maybe able in the time we have left, on this earth, just be more productive and not have to be grappling with all these sort of things.
And of course, you've written a few politically charged tunes in your time, especially about the former president that's trying to be the current president again. So you get a different perspective probably from where you are now than being right in the middle.
It's true. Although we're going to play, I have a bunch of shows in the U.S. in October, and I was trying to revise the lyrics to Vote That Fucker Out. And and just kind of adapt it a little bit for now. So I still care what happens over there, and still I think
it feels like things are taking a turn for the better anyway. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like people will be very distracted in the month of October. Usually it's the World Series I'm up against.
Right. Yep. If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.